and I'm going to say this slowly, and I might say it a couple of times, because this is how the Charter of Rights and Freedoms took away our rights instead of giving us our rights. So here we have freedom of expression. Before 1982, I mean, read the case law, it's strong. We had freedom of expression because, in this interplay in the United Kingdom with tyrants and despots and this and that, and trying to create this elected autocracy system, this parliamentary system where parliaments, had some rights against the king and all of this, we learned that you go to bad places if people can't express themselves. And if you think long term, I mean, how is the society ever going to grow or change or get better or get worse? But how's it going to change if people can't express their ideas? So we had in the common law this wonderful protection of freedom of expression. And if we'd never gotten our Constitution, then we would just be arguing these principles where court case after court case after court case basically says, it's the bedrock of a liberal democracy. It's the bedrock of a healthy society. You let that go and you're in trouble. And there's no limitation. It's just a right. But along comes the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it gives us the right of freedom of expression in Section 2B. But we got this justification clause in Section 1. And so Section 1 of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms reads, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it. And I wish it stopped there, payment, then we'd be fine, right? So if it was the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, bang, if it ended there, we're fine, but it doesn't. Now it's got the subject. It has the justification clause. That's our mischief. Subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. Now, that's a word salad if I've ever seen one. But what basically it means is, you've got these rights that you had before. You have these rights that you had before, but now they're subject to the government saying, we violated your right. The courts found we violated your right, but we're justified in doing it. We had to. It gives them, before under the common law, you violated my freedom of expression. Court goes, heck yeah, you did. Now let's talk about damages. Now under the Charter, government, you violated my freedom. Heck yeah, court says, heck yeah, you did. And now the government gets to say, but we were justified in doing it because, vulnerable teenagers, or it's hate speech, and people can't be subject to hate speech because we all know nobody gets mad and nobody goes out of line, and there aren't some unbalanced people out there. So we actually have to lose our right to have freedom of expression because of the odd nut bar out there, because we're just all little snowflakes that are going to melt and somehow our society is going to collapse, despite 1,200 years of wisdom saying the opposite is the case. So are we better off with our Constitution or worse off? Before we had these rights without a justification clause. You see, and we're trained, no, but for sure we can enforce these against government. The Charter only applies against government. It doesn't apply against regular people. Whereas our common law, really, we would use it against regular people. We would also challenge legislation, saying, no, this violates our freedom of expression. But it wasn't as clear, right? But then the government wasn't so activist before.